We're talking portal news today.
Portal.
You got to get some gloves on. You got to get the hazmat suit when you approach this thing.
You do not want to get too close to it. You get sucked right in.
You get sucked right in. You don't know
Tractor
what to
beam.
do. You tie that thing around your waist. You get some carabiners on your belt loops. You hold down. You hunker on. Many of you hurricane people know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking portal news. We're talking who's in it, who's not in it, and a little would you rather game about Daniel and I thinking, what would we like to see happen in the portal? This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You would think, Daniel, that the video would work, but...
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome. The video did work.
It worked.
We're all here.
No, we fine.
Welcome to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. He is Clint. Thank you so much for listening and for being a part of the show today. If you found us over on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please click that 5-star rating, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast on whatever listening app you are. If you're watching on YouTube, go subscribe and leave a 5-star rating on the audio side of the pod. We would really appreciate that. That helps us out a bunch. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's transfer portal season. I know our team, it's not the off season. We're actually still playing meaningful football games, which most teams cannot relate to, but there's a lot of other things happening in college football right now. It's a free agent frenzy out there. The transfer portal is here. There's a lot of kids in it. There's a lot of kids that aren't going to end up anywhere. There's a lot of kids that are going to transfer to schools and not get any playing time at those schools either. There's a lot of kids who are going to make bad decisions because, spoiler alert, kids make bad decisions all the time. And so
every day.
That's what's going to happen in the transfer portal. If that's something that concerns you, maybe choose another sport to follow because that's not going anywhere.
Yeah, guy or gal who is just kicking rocks over the good old days without the portal. Like
I don't
you're
know.
watching the wrong sport.
I don't know. In the good old days, Georgia wasn't in back-to-back college football playoffs, I'll tell you that. Right now, Georgia wasn't the best team in college football in the new dynasty, so I don't know what to tell you about that. Let's talk about this transfer portal, Clint, and let's start with just some general notable names that we see in the transfer portal. That seems like a decent place to start, and then we'll get progressively more hypothetical and fun as we go.
Okay.
Who do you see in the portal that interests you? That is not interests you in terms of bringing them to Georgia necessarily, but that is just a notable name or group or person that you see in the transfer portal.
I think what's really, really unique about this is it's not surprising. Like a couple of names that are here aren't shocking to me. DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson's in the portal. We have been on this podcast saying if Dabo made the switch early on in the season, Clemson would be in the playoff.
That poor boy had been broken for darn near a year and a half now. And so it's about time that somebody put him in the portal because he's not been an effective quarterback since some random event in Charlotte in September of last year. There's no way to know exactly what happened. But some say it was wearing the number 10 when it happened. That's some say. Someone said.
Texas A&M has everybody.
Everyone?
Florida has everyone going.
Yep.
Bell, tight end from South Carolina, is in the portal.
That's a very interesting cat.
Very interesting cat.
You said yesterday on this podcast, if I could just jump in,
please do.
South Carolina's arrow ascending up. And then what happened is you just told me that probably the best player on their team,
their best player, 100%,
is in the portal.
I did.
How do you make heads or tails of that?
Well, we had our best wide receiver in the portal last year, Daniel, according to people. See, this is my point. I didn't say that. People say that. And this is what I'm trying to get at with the portal.
Maybe Bell is worried that he's not going to get any catches. He's not getting any playing time next year.
Maybe Bell, just maybe, there's a grind of college football. And there's something that happens when you get on campus, and maybe, just maybe, the stars and the ranking you had before you got there wasn't that good.
That could be something.
I'm just saying that. Trey Sanders, running back, Alabama. This one was a little interesting to me. Quarterback from Luke Altmaier from Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
He's in that portal.
I mean, quarterback from NC State, Devin Leary. We're talking about starters now. Obviously, Hudson Card is in the portal. Yep. I mean, you should go down this list, and you got, obviously you got Texas A&M players. You got a bunch of Alabama players in this transfer portal. You got some guys from smaller schools who are trying to move up. You got some guys from bigger schools who are probably going to move down. But yeah, this is the new reality of college football.
Do you know who's in the portal again? At quarterback position?
Oh, no. JT Daniels.
JT Daniels is... Somebody needs to go a hold of your boy. Somebody needs to take him home.
Somebody needs to take him home. Maybe
Keaton
USC.
Slovis.
Maybe he goes to the same place Keaton Slovis goes.
Slovis
neither of them start.
That is wild. Daniel, of those names that I just listed to you, Flo from Oregon is rumored to be in the portal. That's not official yet. UNC quarterback rumored to be in the portal, yet to be declared. What's going to know of that? Who knows? Any of those names, those are kind of the top names. Any of those names you want to say, you know what, Georgia, go get you some. Go put on the full court press for any of these guys.
No. I don't.
Nope. It's a simple answer because it's a simple process.
Take them.
Sure.
I don't mean to say I wouldn't take them. Quality depth is always something that you need and want at the University of Georgia. But if you're going to ask me if I would rather have Devin Leary or Carson Beck as the starting quarterback at Georgia, I'll take Carson Beck. I don't know.
Yep.
I just think there are guys here already. Yes. Did we go out and portal ourselves a middle linebacker, Clint, to replace the 3 inside linebackers that we lost to the NFL draft?
2 things. One, never ask me to portal myself.
I'm never going to stop using it as a verb. So don't
portal me, Daniel. That's all I'm asking.
I wouldn't. I would never. Good. Wouldn't even make sense in the context of the usage.
No, we didn't do that.
We didn't need to go do that. Okay. We didn't. Well, what about on the defensive line? We lost a bunch of great quality defensive linemen. Did we go out and portal ourselves a new defensive lineman?
We just reloaded.
It's interesting. So what you're telling me is that, yes, Jaheim Bell is ultra talented. And yes, Darnell Washington is going to be a first-round pick and is leaving the University of Georgia after this year. But Oscar Delp is right there.
See, and this is my first point that I want to make sure that people understand from the portal and from. If you were to give me an option, a 3-star kid that's been with Kirby for 2 years, or a 5-star kid coming in
from Texas A&M,
sure. Give me the 3-star kid that's been with Kirby for 2 years.
And it's not to say we wouldn't take them. That's not what we're saying. It's not
Tyke Smith is on this team and has added valuable depth all season long.
That's right. It's not to say that we wouldn't take Jaheim Bell or any of these guys. No. It's just to say there's no need for Georgia fans to go out and say, well, we got a full court press for this guy in the portal.
By the way, here's more to the point. Where do you think To'o gets drafted?
I have no idea.
I have no clue either, because I could see him going 6th round or getting an invite to
If
some
he
camp.
gets an invite
He gets an invite
to the NFL draft to go and wear a very expensive suit and sit at one of those little tables in the back room. And I promise you this, I'm going to watch every second of the NFL draft, because that is a developing story. That is the potential of an all-timer. Kid's name doesn't get called, and he's just sitting and sitting and sitting.
That's not going to
and
happen.
Sitting.
It's not going to happen.
Sitting.
Daniel, it's not going to happen. He's not going to get invited, is what I'm saying.
I'm just saying.
Hey, we're going to come back after this, but first I want to let you know about LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the place that you need to be right now.
It's like the transfer portal for real jobs.
For real jobs. And by transfer portal, we mean an effective way to find the right candidate, not the Henry To'o of linebacking positions in defense. They do the opposite. They get you the right candidate that can actually perform, not the one who's going to be blasted every run play that he tries to tackle somebody.
And still make first team all SEC.
I can't. It's a joke. It's a joke. But
LinkedIn is not a joke.
They're not a joke, Daniel. They have over 800 million people worldwide from which that you can pull the network and get the right candidate for the right job that you have. And right now you can post your job for free. We love using it. We've been there. It's an easy to use program. On top of the website that they have is great. It's fantastic. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege for a free job posting right now.
All right, Clint. So let's talk about potential positions of need for Georgia in the portal. And I use the word need loosely based on our last conversation. But if Georgia were going to address a particular position, add some depth at a particular position, where might you think an option would be? Obviously, not knowing, some of Georgia's players are going to leave. They're going to opt for the portal.
Of course they will.
I suspect strongly at least one quarterback will opt for the portal.
Minimum.
But there will be others that will opt for the portal. So not knowing any of that information, what is a position that jumps out to you as somewhere Georgia might go looking?
Daniel, this is almost impossible for me to truly understand because, again, we have depth everywhere. We have talented 4 or 5, 3-star developed guys everywhere. But if I was to choose one, it would be on the defensive line, Daniel.
Okay.
Now, our defensive line has played great this year. We got a bunch of young guys. Daniel, we got young guys for days.
Oh, we got plenty of young guys.
But the depth behind them, not so great. Right now, the starting outside edge defender, Chaz. By the way, Chaz, you played great last game. SEC championship game, you were playing with a hair on fire. I thought technique was still lacking, but my gosh, you wanted to hit people and bang against some blockers, and I'm here for it.
Here for it all day. It's where he belongs.
It's where he belongs doing that. I loved every moment of that. However, Daniel, next year, Nolan Smith ain't coming back. He's going to the draft. Jalen Carter is gone. We have Nazir Stackhouse. We have all these guys. And we have Bear Alexander, a bunch of studs behind, but not standout studs and not a lot of depth. And so we're going to have to rely heavily, and I mean heavily, on this very young linebacking core to continue to be the studs, along with guys like Lassiter and Malachi in the back end. But it would be great to add a couple of guys, a couple of man-eating, space-eating defensive linemen that are smart, that are savvy, that can do a job, that aren't going to be Jalen Carter-esque, but can keep guys off the backers. That's where I would go.
We're talking about guys on the edge or guys kind of in the middle of that defensive line?
Any and all. I outside linebacker, again, this is a very fluid concept to talk about edge and outside linebacker and that sort of deal. But if we're talking like a Robert Beal type player.
Okay.
Daniel.
Yeah.
In the middle, Nazir Stackhouse and Bear Alexander, and what seems like we got a couple of dudes in the middle, right?
That's right. Well, yeah. What if I told you we also have Mike L. Williams and Marvin Jones Jr.?
I'm not talking top end. I'm talking depth within.
Well, yeah. So you got guys like Marvin Jones, who's injured right now, I think he would have been playing quite a bit in that, guys like Christian Miller, I think are going to continue to develop who are on this roster. And again, like you said, give me these guys who have been with Kirby for a couple of years. And then you want to talk about an edge defender. I mean, you could go to the portal and find one, or you could go to a guy like Samuel Mpemba and you could bring him in.
Just let him do his thing.
What if you just bring him in?
You mean the number 5 overall recruit?
It's something.
It seems great.
So I think the short answer is that there are no massive needs at starter on this Georgia roster moving forward, pending that you feel good about Carson Beck at quarterback.
Do you feel good about Carson Beck at quarterback?
I feel fine about Carson Beck at quarterback.
I feel fine.
Fine being the key word. That's the word I'm using intentionally.
I understand.
I feel fine.
As well. Let's see come G Day.
Yep, sure.
Okay.
Sure. G Day, as otherwise known as Carson Beck Day, by the way. He's going to be spoiler alert, he's going to look really good at G Day.
We have said G Day and Carson Beck for 3 years now in a row.
I refuse to put any stock in what I see at G Day. Meanwhile, you'll hear me on this podcast as soon as G Day is over being like, Carson Beck is the savior of the program. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened.
Of course.
I think you go to the portal then to get depth at positions that play a lot of guys. So defensive line's a great example of that. Linebacker is not.
No.
Corner is not.
Nope.
Safety is not. Wide receiver and tight end, I think, are. So I think I'm not sure you're going to find a running back in the portal. Maybe you will find a back in the portal, but I think Georgia's going to have 3 quality running backs next year anyway, and so I don't think that really matters. But you find a high level wide receiver. I'm sorry. You find a high level receiver of the football.
There you go.
Maybe he plays tight end. Maybe he plays wide receiver. It doesn't particularly matter. You're not replacing Darnell Washington with anybody because they don't make Darnell Washingtons. And if you want to know why Georgia's offense doesn't look as crisp as it did last year, why the runs don't seem to be popping the way that they were last year, if you want to know that for next year, let me just go ahead and fast forward into the future and explain to you. It's because Darnell Washington's not there blocking anymore.
That's it.
You're never going to replace him. He's potentially the most valuable player on the team for Georgia this year.
But Daniel, he doesn't have 22 receiving touchdowns.
He doesn't have very many touchdowns. Jalen Hyatt scored more touchdowns than him.
How could you ever say that without looking at the stat line?
Gosh. I think you go to the portal for a guy like that, Clint.
Yeah.
I think you go to the portal for depth. A guy that give him a chance to earn more and more and more and more playing time if he shows that he is worthy of that. I think that's what Kirby and company are going to be out there looking for.
It's going to be hard to get a wide receiver to come to Georgia because you have to buy into blocking, and portal people aren't probably doing that at their current program.
Portal people, I heard, might want to win and make NIL money. So potentially that would be something that would be interesting to them. And go to the NFL.
Oh.
Potentially that would be something that would be interesting to them. So I don't know. It could be up to them. That'd be fine.
That's fine.
Make your own decisions. Young people make bad decisions every day.
Every day. Hey, we're going to come back and do more Would You Rather from this portal news. But first, I want to talk about BetOnline. BetOnline's your sportsbook experts. They're the official sportsbook of Locked On Bulldogs and Locked On Podcasts everywhere.
Oh, I'll put it up.
No, it's fine. That's fine, Daniel, because I'm so excited to talk about BetOnline because they're fantastic. We love betting. We made a lot of money this year, and we are going to continue rolling that into bowl season, as well as get some early line on Georgia 6.5-point favorite, Ohio State. Daniel, it's
already been done. The deed has already been done.
Thank you. It's been done, and it's been. Don't look. Look, I got 4 accounts, and 3 out of the 4 got empty chambers. So
It's been done. It'll be done again.
it'll be done again. BetOnline, your official sportsbook action where you need to go. They are safe, they're reliable. They have every single parlay, every single action, every single alternative line that you need. BetOnline, the official sportsbook of Locked On Podcast. The deed has been done.
Where are we going with the rest of this portal conversation?
Okay. Daniel, who would you rather lose to the portal?
Okay, here we go. Now you're gonna start just hacking off body parts of my.
We are doing the field surgeon at Civil War is just
Third segment listener sits around for the whole pod listening, and this is what they get at the end. This is
they're degenerates anyway.
this
is on them. They love this is what they embrace.
Nothing but the facts here. Nothing but the facts.
Would you rather lose
Okay.
a 5-star quarterback to the portal?
Okay.
You choose. I don't care
Okay.
who it is.
Okay.
Or would you rather lose a starting safety?
Well, one of my starting safeties is going to the NFL.
Okay, so next year, let's say hypothetically, we're able to fast forward.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so
I was going to say that only leaves one safety.
No, not
left.
So whoever the safeties are next year starting. So I'm gonna get a peek behind the curtain.
Yes.
You know right now who
Got
the
it.
other safety outside Malachi Starks is going to be.
Yeah. I'm going to say, and it pains me to say, but I'm going to say who I think the most likely Georgia Bulldog to end up in the portal is, and the answer to this question of who I would rather end up in the portal, I think I'm going to have to let Brock Vandelay Industries go, because I think he's the one that's probably going to go. And I can't say that I disagree with this. I can't say that I think it's a foolish decision on his part. I think at this point, he's had opportunity, he's had time to try to ascend the pecking order. Carson Beck potentially has 2 more years in Athens.
That's right.
He could ball out this year and jump straight to the NFL. But he's potentially, if he wants, because of COVID, has 2 more years in Athens, Carson Beck does. And so if you're Brock Vandegrift, I just don't think you can sit on your thumbs for that long knowing that this guy you've had your chances to pass him on the depth chart and you have not been able to get it done. You only play one quarterback, Clint. So, yes, I don't think we will lose more than him. I don't think Gunnar will go.
No.
I do think Brock will go. And Georgia's going to continue to recruit quarterbacks. And we have no idea what's going to happen. We didn't think Stetson was coming back this year. But he did, and thank you.
Do
you want to come back next year? I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I don't know.
We'll figure something out.
I'm sure that Tiffany at the admissions office.
We know people who can get things done.
Van Wilder that thing all day long.
We are going to figure it out.
Yeah.
No, I think it's Brock Vandelay Industries. I think he's going to export himself right out of Athens. I hate to say it.
I hate to say it. I think
it's going to happen.
No, that's absurd. Okay. Would you rather lose Bell, wide receiver, to the portal?
Ooh. Dylan Bell
goes portal.
Freshman phenom.
Probably. And I use this term loosely because we understand the difference between production, efficiency, and talent, right? Okay.
Sure.
Probably the highest ceiling talent-wise of the wide receiver group currently, the young guys.
Yeah, the young guys.
Right. Would you rather use Bell to the portal?
Okay.
Or one of JDJ or Smile Mondon?
Bell. I don't. You can't. I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to. There are not too many. I would be blown away if a current starter at Georgia transfers.
I'd be blown away as well.
I'm not saying it can't happen, but I would be blown away if a current starter at Georgia transfers.
And we said current starter, and that a current starter hasn't left Georgia in the last 2 years.
So it could happen.
Sure.
But I will just tell you this right now. With almost no exceptions that I can think of on the roster, it would be devastating to me personally if a current starter left the University of Georgia. I love every person on this team, even down to the ones that we criticized earlier in the year. I know I talked about this SEC championship game week. If Xavier Truss transfers, I'll be really upset
because he's turned into a road grader.
He's turned into a really good player.
Yeah.
And so
okay.
I can't lose Dylan Bell, great wide receiver, not a current starter.
Right.
Not as devastating of a loss in that position group, I don't think.
Would you rather Brock
Couldn't
Bowers,
get to the mute fast enough. Sorry.
Brock Bowers hits the portal.
The other one. Kirby leaves. I'll choose that one. I don't care. What doesn't matter what you say.
The entire offensive line.
Brock Bowers can play offensive line. There are other offensive linemen. Does that include Mims?
It includes no. It would not include Mims because he is not one of the five starters.
We got a left tackle. We can build around it. Mims and Warren Erickson can figure it out with Brock Bowers. Listen, it's a funny game to play because we'll see. I mean, I'm gonna sound like an idiot. It's a real old takes exposed situation, but I just can't see very many of these guys transferring. I know some will.
The only people that I can think about transferring,
cornerstone member of the team, I can't see transferring.
The only one I can think about is guys who have underperformed and blame the system, Kirby, or the environment for their underperformance. And they believe their talent is there. Right?
Yeah, but that would be a guy that's not getting reps.
But I'm trying to replicate Burton from last year.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Burton was getting reps.
You're right.
He was losing reps. He thought that Kirby, the offense,
so that's you're right. That could be a Dylan Bell situation.
A Dylan Bell, or
I cannot see A.D. Mitchell transferring.
Nope.
But like,
nope. But I can see Roseme.
Sure.
I mean, on a scale of possibility, I don't think he will. But on a scale of possibility, it's higher for him than other guys.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just silly I mean, we're talking about types of players. So to mention any of these kids' names is completely unfair because we don't think any of these kids are going to transfer.
We've already said we don't think it's going to happen.
But like Smile Mondon is not going to transfer. But I could see a guy like Xavier Sorey being a candidate to transfer.
This is what
Came in with Smile Mondon, also a 5-star, but Smile has been consistently on the field, and Xavier Sorey has played meaningful snaps and done a good job for Georgia. And I think we'll continue to see an increased role as this team moves forward. But he might decide that he wants to go somewhere, or somebody like that in that sort of a role. I think that's the guy you're just not going to see a Brock Bowers or a Carson Beck or a...
Look, weird things are happening with portal people, okay?
Yeah, it's true. I don't know. Jimbo comes with that bag. You got Deion Sanders coming with that.
If you guys don't understand right now, the state of Colorado, I don't know what kind of statutes you have for laws, but they're all going to be visited, just so you understand.
You better get the DA brushed up on all the books, all of the statutes and limitations there, because it's going to get
wild.
It's going to be a wild time.
It's wild.
You know what's not going to happen? winning any football games.
That's the thing.
That's not going to happen. No, that Buffalo's going to run out there on the field. A lot of people are going to hoop and holler, and Deion Sanders is going to ask people to look at Deion Sanders a lot. But other than that,
that doesn't stay in line with what he's done in. Oh, it checks.
It all checks. All checks out. All right. Tomorrow, we're coming back talking recruiting news because Georgia is not necessarily going fishing in the portal at this point. They're going fishing in the big pond, the big pond, and they're pulling in the big fish in the big pond. We got our boy John Garcia coming back, recruiting expert, breaking down some of Georgia's recent commits, some of the players we're looking to for the future. So you're not going to want to miss it. Join us again tomorrow on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We'll see you.
See ya.